Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Prime Commander Tournament. My name's Guile, and I'll be your host for this evening. Always nice to vary the intros a little bit every now and again, especially on an occasion such as this. Thank you so much to the tournament directors for the fabulous work you guys have been putting in to get this tourney going. It's been a huge effort, so many entrants, fantastic work from LuXy, from Taquito. Blackheart helped out a little bit, I understand, and of course not forgetting the most important player, arguably, or the most important person relating to this tourney, and that is Visionik, who has donated the $500 prize pool. So finally some really interesting amounts of cash available to players in a FAF tourney. Always nice to see, and it's had the desired effect. 75 people registered interest for this tourney. It was cut down to 45, and that was still enough to fill 9 groups for the group stages of this tourney before even getting to the knockout stages. So it's been a mammoth effort. Suffice to say, we're not going to be spending a lot of time covering any of that early stuff. There is just too much to go to. I might potentially go through a lot of them later on if I see some good stuff next week. Might bring you some of that action from the group stages if none of the other casters out there have casted it. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. But today and tomorrow we're going to be focusing on the finals, and the first final we're going to be looking at is a quarterfinal match right now between LuXy and Zlo. It's going to be a best of 3, and the first match in that best of 3 is going to go down on 4-leaf clover. So let's go on over to the game zone and see how the hell these guys are going to get on. I'm excited. It's tournament time, baby. Let's take a look at our players, because you know what? We know what 4-leaf clover is all about. Our first player up here at the top, going his ever so customary cyanide scion. It's none other than LuXy, or LuXy as he's going by these days. One of the greats to ever pick up a mouse and boot up a game of Sopcom. I think it's fair to say, and I think he would agree, not necessarily playing at his peak these days. His peak would have been probably 2000 and, oh god, what was it, 12 when he was in the Imber Cup 2. I mean, he was borderline unstoppable back then. If you haven't seen the Imber Cup Grand Final, I recommend go back and watching it, mainly because I casted it, and if you don't have ad block, I'll get some money. Anyway, shameless self-promotion aside, here he is, and he's not going his ever so customary Seraphim. He's sporting Aeon today, which is a little bit of a departure. Of course, Aeon Seraphim affinity is there, but I guess he feels this is where he's at the moment. This is what's going to give him the best chance against his opponent. He's opening first land, going second and third air there, and his opponent down here at the bottom, we've seen a lot of him of late, seems to have been playing a lot more than LuXy. It's none other than Zlo. He is going his very customary Cybrin, not necessarily his very customary color though. Not sure if he spends a lot of time in lurid green, but here he is, and he's opened first and second land. And if you'll take a quick look up the scoreboard at the top right, you'll notice that both he and LuXy have pretty good parity there on global ranking, 2200 apiece. So at least on paper, this should be a pretty interesting match. You've already got a little bit of divergence in here in terms of build orders. So first and second land there for Zlo and his Cybrin. He is going third air, got what, about 4 or soon to be 5 P-Gens online. Then he's going to start work on that air factory. But if we go up here and take a look at what LuXy's doing, he already has the first air factory online, second one queued up on the way once he finish off the line of P-Gens he's got going around there. First plane out for him is a defensive measure. Out comes an interceptor. We're going straight for bomber. No, he's sticking with inties for the moment, I guess, probably wanting to make sure he asserts his air control. But we do have presence on the ground in the middle there for LuXy. Engineer gets snagged there from Zlo. He manages to dodge that final blast from the flare. A scout gets it. He's down to 7 hit points, and then promptly starts building himself a little cocoon of T1 P-Gens, one of which does manage to block an incoming shot. I can't believe it. 5 hit points left on that engineer, and Aurora is on its way to intercept there from LuXy, but a Mantis has caught up with him, and of course the extra hit points on the Mantis going to win out in that battle every single time, and I can't believe it. That is the most amount of effort I've ever seen anyone put into saving a single, mostly dead T1 engineer. Superb work there from Zlo, but when there's money on the line, why the hell not? Let's face it, it's not your average game of SOPCOM. Very nice to see indeed. So we've got ACUs coming out now, or at least one of them coming out. That's Zlo, seems to be making a move now, more towards the middle. His waypoint lined up there into the center. For the moment, though, LuXy looking pretty stationary, although he's on the move now, still well in his base. You can see the waypoint queued up there to move to that little entry point on his, well, I suppose it's a petal, isn't it, if we're going by the four-leaf clover aspect after the name of the map. Land factory going up at the front there of that opening for LuXy. We've got anything queued up similarly down here for Zlo? Not yet, mostly just stockpiling troops up there at the center. But we take a look at general build order and what's going on down here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 soon to be land factories, 2 more queued up after that, and a single air factory. What's going on up here? Well, we're very close to T2 air there for LuXy. Not a great deal of factory spam. We do have 2 more land factories that have gone up further forward there, but the T2 air HQ is online, and he's going immediately for gunships. Spectres being built there. That first one should be ready in the next 20 seconds or so. 5.5 minutes gone in this one, and a slight advantage there in generated mass for LuXy. Of course, as soon as I mentioned it, it massively diverges purely because Zlo bottlenecking there on power for a moment, but a slight advantage when he sorts that out. Does seem to be about 1, 2 mass in it, but we'll keep a close eye on that as the game progresses. LuXy now with his ACU in the center, going to throw together a T1 PD right in the center there. A lot of mass still to be scooped, although these look a lot more valuable than they actually are, but still when you harvest them all, it does bring in a pretty penny in terms of mass. Surprised we haven't had more NGs rushing towards that. Zlo's moved his ACU out further to the west, meanwhile picking up a couple of those mexes, and now we see the impact of the gunships they're going to have on this game. LuXy bringing it in straight to assault Zlo's resourcing option, the entry point of his side of the map, his petal. Down goes one of the mexes, but he's not going to hang around to kill the other one. Instead, he's going to push on deeper into Zlo's territory. We do have a couple of inties circling for Zlo, waiting to get a solution on that gunship, but it looks like LuXy has a stronger presence in the air all around. Those interceptors flying around that gunship, doing a nice job of protecting it. Down goes another mex, and now an engineer as well. Build capacity in the area is quick to construct a tracer, so there is a little bit of fire going down on that Spectre now, but a quick relocation there to the north of that mex keeps it out of danger and manages to secure the kill. Meanwhile, ACU on ACU battle getting down and dirty in the center. LuXy hovering very close to his PD, meaning Zlo can't spend too much time up in that section of the map. At the same time, T1 land spam firing a few trades there before Zlo decides to disengage. However, on the other side, he's trying a flanking remover, trying to get in behind that body of Auroras. But again, LuXy paying some pretty decent attention to what's going on and manages to bring in some more gunships. He's now got 3 of those stalking the field, and of course no Sky Slammers at the moment in this mix for Zlo, so absolutely nothing threatening those gunships whatsoever. We do have the odd one trickling up now from the base, 1 or 2 on its way, but it's going to be a while before they get there. LuXy taking a little bit of fire from this group of Mantis in the section center, and Zlo trying to stall him by blocking him in with a T1 P-Gen. He's loving those builds, but Zlo dropping down into the red now, very low indeed, and he's not getting out of it. LuXy pretty low on that front as well, but he has well above what's necessary to survive the blast. So LuXy taking the first scalp in that one, goes 1-0 against Slow in a tense 9-minute thriller. Very exciting stuff so far. So first blood goes to him. I'll take you to this very, very dodgy makeshift graphic while we boot up the next game. I don't know. I think it's, what was it? It was Shai Halud and Blackster that put this together. The Prime Commander. That's symbolic of the avatars you're going to get if you're successful in completing. So obviously the gold avatar up at the front, then silver and bronze in third place. Anyway, we are ready to go back to the game zone now for the next match, which is taking place on Dusty Grounds version 1. LuXy throws out the good luck, have fun, always polite as ever. And especially helps when you're 1-0 up in the series. You can afford to be. Let's take a look at the locations. Incidentally, the rules for this are random starting locations. So obviously they're starting in the 1 and 2 position on these maps. So it's all fair. There are no strange lineups where someone's sitting on more mass particularly than anyone else. But you don't know which corner you're going to be in. Anyway, let's take a look at our locations. Down here at the bottom left we have LuXy, again sporting Aeon in his Cyanide Scion, and again opening first land. We go up to the top right, we can see Zlo also going his customary Cybern once again and his lurid green as in the last match. People keeping it simple for me and my tiny brain. That's always a welcome sight. And he's opened first land as well. ACU moving south there, going to pick up the hydrocarbon. Quite a few bits of chunks of mass kicking around, these large rocks around here, and it looks like we've got a skyhook with a bunch of dead mantis kicking around in the center as well. Is that one of two, or no, that's the only one? Actually looks a little bit off center. I'm wondering if that potentially adds the tiniest advantage to the player in the top right hand corner. It's but so negligible it basically isn't worth mentioning, but that's what I do, that's my job. LuXy coming out of his base now, walking on towards that hydro, decides whether he's going to assist that engine and thinks, yeah, why not? It's going to throw down that that air factory next to the hydro, get that adjacency bonus. 3 more land factories queued up around that mechs. So first couple of minutes gone in this one. 7 generated mass apiece. Not a great deal going on the reclaim front. Well, we do have a couple of these rocks scooped already by Zlo. I imagine it's going to be a similar state of affairs there for LuXy. Quick and easy way to find out. 518 for Zlo, 210 there for LuXy. So Zlo, early days, doing ever so slightly better on the reclaim side of things, and it looks like he managed to grab an engineer kill there. Or was that a scout? Oh, that looks like a mangled Aeon engineer to me. They all look the same. That's not racist, that's just the way it is. It's not really racism when you're being horrible to the Aeon though, so it's fine. Mantis dodging in and out, wants to pick off this engineer that's trying to do a similar trick to Zlo in the last one. LuXy not faring quite so well. His Aurora's trying to chase down that Mantis. Manages to kill him in the end, but of course Aurora's ever so slightly slower than the Mantis. The extra range advantage has to be countered somehow, but look at this. It looks like we've got a bit of a ghetto gunship going on from LuXy. That's not bad. 3.5 minutes gone. Fully laden chariot full of labs on its way, but it's going to go right past an interceptor. How quick is Zlo at reacting to this? Well, he's issued the command. That's going to come right back. That's not too bad. How much damage can LuXy inflict in the meantime? That is the question. He's going to kill an engineer. That's no biggie. He's going to get a Mantis as well. I'm wondering, where's that interceptor? There it is. Already a couple of passes brings the chariot down into the yellow. Lots of dodging going on from LuXy, but he's about to lose that chariot and all of the light assault bots on board, except for one who must have some relationship with Jesus. I don't know what's going on there, but somehow he survives another day to wreak havoc, no doubt, on some poor, unsuspecting engineer. There's one roaming around there. Go up there, LuXy. Do it. I'm not biased against the Cybran at all. Go up there and kill him. Quick little exchange of interceptors there just south of Zlow's base. 1 versus 3 was always likely to go better there for Zlow, but that's a really nice pickup from Zlow. LuXy underestimating his opponent's will to get involved with early air. Needed a few more interceptors of his own, really, to help keep that chariot safe. That's quite a lot of mass on board. I mean, how much is a lab? Labs aren't expensive, but light assault bot, so you're looking at 35 mass a piece for those. And I have 6 of those, and then also, of course, the chariot, which is slightly more expensive, 120 mass there. So, I mean, yes, it doesn't sound like a lot, but early in the game, that can make a real difference. So far, Zlow slightly ahead, ever so slightly, on generated mass. And, of course, Curse the Commentator comes in, and it levels. But there it was 13-11 for a moment there. Let's take a quick look at Reclaim, while Zlow continues to pressure LuXy on the left. So we've got 1,473 banked there for Zlow versus 461 there for LuXy. So Zlow doing much better on Reclaim. Yes, small figures once again, but at this level, as we've seen so many times before, very fine margins between these players. And this little run by this group of Mantis is causing some problems here for LuXy. Only 3 remain, but a lot of Aeon units have gone down in that exchange. Some very nice work there from Zlow. Meanwhile, LuXy's ACU out east has caused a few problems with a couple of Auroras there. 1 dead Cybran mechs up front. Will equate to the loss in eco there. Zlow dipping below LuXy in generated eco for the first real time in this match so far. LuXy continuing to push out, and so far no one's made a play for the plateau up here, which is kind of interesting. Not only have you got those 2 mexes, look at the Reclaim. We've got some T3 units in here. Is that a T3 or a teched up air factory? I think they're only T1 factories, but still a lot of mass to be scooped there if one of the players can manage to get their hands on it. If, of course, being the important question, no guarantees, especially with the amount of interceptors flying around this map. And Zlow actually looking like he's got a pretty good handle on the air game. LuXy light so far when it comes to air units. What's he building at? Well, he is building more interceptors, but certainly needs to get a wriggle on in that department. And we have T2 on the field there from Zlow. He started pumping out rhinos. Not sure if that's the first one or not. It does appear that it might be. No, there's another one there as well. So a couple of rhinos in play. And another one over here as well. I was wondering where we were hearing that exchange of fire coming from. Unmistakable sound of rhinos chewing up auroras, as they do so well. LuXy with the cheeky PD fake out there. Why bother building a point defense when you can just lay down the square and make your opponent think that you have by its radar signature? Zlow, though, has been circling over that side of the map, has seen it, so that's not going to fool him. He won't worry about that if he decides to advance on that side of the map. LuXy with a largely open door on this side, but we do have a transport with an engineer and what looks like an Aurora. That chariot skirting up the left-hand side of the map, and he is going straight for that top left plateau. So, wondering if this is going to be a little bit of a game changer here. That extra reclaim could make a real difference to LuXy, who is struggling a little bit in this one. And now there's a Jester in the center causing problems from Zlow. These Auroras without any anti-air support whatsoever. The chariot, though, has managed to get that engineer to safe ground up top, and he is going to go straight in and start recycling that land factory wreck. We do have a radar station though there from Zlo, and that means that he can see these blips up here at the top. And of course, Zlo, not one for hanging about, doesn't miss a trick, sends the Jester in immediately to kill off that engineer before it can get any of the T3 wrecks. He has managed to scoop the 2 factories though. Let's see what that's done in reclaim. Well, still only 2,260 so far for LuXy. Zlo, by contrast, on 3,750, plus a small advantage in generated eco as well. So things going Zlo's way at the moment. Zlo in the center with his ACU. LuXy converging on him ever so slightly. But the really worrying thing for LuXy is over here. This Jester picking off all of the ground units with absolutely no threat of comeback whatsoever. Too many interceptors in the air for LuXy to hope to get a play on it with his Air Force. He's only got 1 or 2 and is currently not building any more either. So it looks like he's writing off the air game altogether, and now he's facing teched up units on the ground as well. Has managed to get his ACU right in the center of them. Decent overcharge takes care of 2 of the Rhinos though, but the Jester causing problems. Zlo's ACU coming in from the north, and of course this hoplite on the ground able to harass at range as well. Few Auroras being brought in to assist the ACU now there for LuXy, but still they're being thinned out incredibly quickly. Only 4,000 hit points left on the tank as Zlo decided to get a little bit more aggressive here. Might have a chance to even this one up as LuXy goes down into the red, sub 2,500 HP. Zlo looking very comfortable at nearly 9,000. LuXy looking like he is going to go even in this one. The GG goes out. Total fail, he says in local chat. Well, I'm not sure we would call it total fail. Certainly performed better than 90% of the players on FAF would. But Zlo still handled that masterfully. Very nicely done indeed. Really, really good work from him. So there goes game 2, and Zlo manages to level 1-1 in the series so far. We'll be back after these messages. Joke. No, we won't do any of that. We will just load up the next match. So we go back to our $1.99 graphic there. I'm slating Shai-Hulud and Blackstone. I don't want to, because it's not. It's actually very good. It's actually more the hideous scrolling text at the bottom, which I spent exactly 15 seconds on. But yeah, no, incidentally, I didn't actually say what the split was, I don't think, at the beginning of this one. We'll go into the next game. We'll discuss it at the beginning. The next game is going to be Williamson's Bridge. And there we go. But yeah, the split on this one is a decent $150 there for first place. I mean, that is pretty darn good. $90 for second place, and then $60 for third place, $40 for fourth, and then fifth to eighth gets $20, and the second half of the, or the second bottom section of the top 16, 9 to 16, gets $10. So everybody walks away with something. I'm pretty sure I haven't mentioned that already, but if I have, I do apologize. It's very late, and I haven't slept for 4 years. Let's take a look at our players as they've already gotten started on this one. Up here at the top left, we've got LuXy, and he's switched up. He is no longer feeling the Aeon after that defeat. He is now going his customary Seraphim. This is his race of choice. This is the race with which he's had so much success in the past, and he's opening first land there, going second air. And his opponent down here, still the same, surprise, surprise, it'd be very strange if it was someone else, is Zlo. And he's going Cybrin again. No surprises there. Opening first land, going second air. But I do like that change up from LuXy. And there's something all right with the world. It's like seeing Zlo going UEF, seeing LuXy going Aeon. It just doesn't work for me. It's always nice to see a player play the race that they were born to do. And this is certainly LuXy's play. And this is, of course, the deciding game. Best of 3. It is now 1-1 apiece. Winner of this one progresses to the semi-finals. Cheeky bit of lab play there from Zlo, attempting to pick off an engineer. Doesn't manage it. That's going to survive with 13 HP. A Tham comes in to the rescue there. Manages to kill off that lab. We have one Slen out here for LuXy, doing his old cloaky, I'm going to sit on a mechs and wait until you realise I'm there, because your engineer's sitting there doing nothing. The most infuriating thing in the world. Nice little dodge there from LuXy, keeping that lab alive, but still doesn't manage to pick anything off with it. So far, LuXy having the run of fire in the first couple of minutes of this one. Always nice when it happens to you, ever in the infuriating system when it doesn't. It's just the way it goes. And we'll take a look at what LuXy can actually see now with that. It gives you almost pretty much good coverage on everything coming up this way. Annoyingly doesn't quite cover that mechs, just the way of things. And Williamson's bridge can be a little bit deceiving. You might think this is a trench, but no, it is a bridge. And the raised edges prevents a lot of fire coming up from either side, so it's a relatively safe path straight down the middle. But I am wondering, hoping, if we're going to see a base trade on this. This is one of the classic maps for base trades. Whenever you get an ACU going one way and an ACU on the other team going the other way, more often than not, often ends up in an exchange of bases, especially if the players are well matched, which of course, as we've seen, they certainly are in this one so far. Bombers out for both players. Inti out for LuXy though, and a scout plane out for LuXy. So a little bit of intel will allow LuXy to get a bomb off. It is going to miss that NG. Nice bit of evasion work on the ground there by LuXy, and the covering interceptor is going to shoot that down. So now a small advantage for LuXy in the early air game. Looks like he managed to pick off an engineer or two in the base there. Gets another bomb off to the engineer, which was making its way over here to pick up some of that mass. So that's going to slow down LuXy's reclaim operation. Out comes the engineer to throw down a mechs. He's been badly damaged, and is he going to realise? He's not, and that'll be the damage that he's sustained. He won't understand what's going on. Major issues. So the engineer is going to now sit there. Of course, you may be wondering, why isn't he doing something about it? Well, he can't see it because it's cloaked, because those Selens are just irritating. There we go. But there is a way around it. You can ground fire, of course, with troops, or I believe you can manually reclaim on the ground with your engineer, something like that. Help you get around it. But that forward mechs there under siege from LuXy. Decent band of Mantis accrued in the center there. One engineer making its way to the top right, going to throw down a land factory, and it's always nice to sneak one in the corners on this map, because generally out of the line of approach of intel for your opponent, suddenly a small army can arrive out of the corner of the map, but that mole is going to scupper those plans. LuXy receiving that intelligence, there's something going on up there, going to kill off that engineer. That factory will slowly start to decay from 1,270 HP, but LuXy looking aggressive now as he stalks down the bottom left-hand portion of the map with his ACU, picking off a couple of units as he goes. LuXy gonna bring his ACU out to meet him. Of course, minor advantage on the ACU going to LuXy. Seraphim, 11,500 hit points at base compared to the 10,000 of the Cyber and ACU there. But of course, being so much closer to LuXy's base means LuXy gets a massive amount of assistance in terms of reinforcements. Although, of course, the further he stalks away from the base, the less of an advantage he's going to have. LuXy continuing to move out. So what engagement is going to go down is going to happen in fairly neutral territory. First couple of units getting picked off there by LuXy's ACU. Down goes another engineer as well. FAM not going to last much longer either. LuXy does have a single land factory down here, but I bet he wishes he had some PD to assist him as well. Meanwhile, on top, LuXy going to have a little bit of a push with that band of Mantis that had success in the top right-hand corner. Going to grab another mechs as well as he goes. Down here on the bottom, the ACU war continues. Taking a look at these two and their health. 8,000 hit points so far there for LuXy. Still looking okay. 9,400 for LuXy. Still looking a little better. And of course, every now and again, the odd unit rolling off that Seraphim land factory there for LuXy, aiding and assisting him The odd mantis coming in to help, but we have got a Jester coming in now. He's going to focus on the units or the ACU. Well, it's going to be the ACU, and it's not just one Jester, it's 4, and that is a lot of damage, which is piling on to LuXy's ACU now, who's down below 5,000. The problem is Zlo is not doing too well either. He's about to go into the reds. LuXy has just gone into the red. I think we could potentially be looking at a bit of a draw here. Zlo's trying to get out of the blast radius, but he's not going to make it. Down he goes. And the explosion from LuXy's ACU takes Zlo with him. So we have a draw, which is insane, which means we have to go to another match, unforeseen as this was the initial layout for those 3 games was set out before the tourney even started. When you're in this round, the quarterfinals, that it was going to be 4-leaf clover, Dusty Grounds, and Williamson's Bridge. They had to select another one from the random number generator, and that map, as it happened to be, was Desert Planet 2. So there we go, as our guys jump in, and we'll take a look at where our guys have started. So it's similar starting locations there to game 2. LuXy immediately throws out the good luck, have fun. Couldn't be worse map, so he's pretty amped about the selection, clearly. It's nothing worse when it's just, you know, certain maps get played more than others with certain players, and also certain maps suit certain players as game styles. And by the sounds of things, something not matching up there for LuXy and his confidence, but you never know how things are going to work out. And interestingly, he's gone back to Aeon. I'm wondering what the decision-making process was there for him. And LuXy, if you're watching, why don't you tell us in the comment section below what was going on with your choice for races in this one, because I'm sure all the viewers would like to know. Anyway, there he is, and he's thrown down a land factory first of all, and the air factory is going to go second. So LuXy planning to capitalize on Aeon's air early on once again in this one, and his opponent up here at the top right, Zlo, still rocking Cybran, no changes there, and still opening first land, and he's also going to go second air. So both of these guys getting a little bit of air involvement going nice and early. ACU comes forward. It's going to assist those engineers on picking up that hydro, and then probably the last 2 P-gens, and then go straight on to that air factory. So I mean, if we haven't, I'm not really sure if I've cast many games on Desert Planet 2. It's certainly not a particularly popular map, which is a shame, because from an aesthetics point of view, it's better than most of the user made stuff. I mean, it looks like an actual kind of desert map. It doesn't look like a poorly made one. I think it's actually a pretty darn good job. Nice to see the community map making skills in full flow there. It's just the canyons and everything. It looks very natural. But anyway, so you've got these 2 mexes on the plateau in the center, these large kind of pockets which are extra starting locations for 2v2 games and 3v3 games. Of course, you've got one starting location there, one there, one there, and one there. So there's a lot of sections, pockets of extra core mass that these 2 players can draw on. Typically, the main confluence areas are here, 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 and in the center, the 4 routes, depending, of course, on how well our players manage to establish control on the territory on their side of the map. It's all well and good saying that it's going to be bifurcated right down the center, but of course you never know how it's going to go. First few interceptors out for both players. Zlo about to get snagged in the center. Will he take one down with him? It's going to be close, but I think LuXy might have the better of this exchange. In comes another Inti though for Zlo, and another, so I spoke too soon, and that is going to be 2 kills for 1 in the center. In comes another for LuXy, but it's now 2 on 1. That other one though, too heavily damaged for Zlo, so a massively even trade in the center there. 1 for 1 pretty much all the way. Zlo with a couple more left, LuXy with a couple more as well. No early advantage in the air game so far. 19 to 17 on generated mass in the first 5 minutes in favor of Zlo. No huge advantage there. Reclaim 2,300 for Zlo, 1,300 for LuXy. So certainly LuXy not doing quite as well on the reclaim side of things as Zlo has been throughout this series. Now, if there's one thing that we like to prattle on about here at Guilecast, it's that Reclaim wins matches. One of the reasons Blackheart has always had such historically good success is because his Reclaim is outstanding, almost consistently above everybody else's in most of the games that he participates in. Aurora on Mantis down here in the bottom right, not going to go well for the Aurora, and at the same time the Spirit, accompanying Scout, going to go down as well. Transport into the center, Chariot laden with engineers, so no early ghetto gunship or anything like that. Loser not wanting to go that way again. He was literally just going after the Mexes, but has massively underestimated how far Zlow's ground presence has spread. And in comes a horde of Mantis to immediately slaughter all 4 of those NGs as soon as they make landfall. So casualties early on for Luzon, falling behind ever so slightly in Reclaim. Generated mass, though, he's caught up, still 33 on 33, so not too bad so far there for him. First 7 minutes gone of this one already. Had it on +2, so it seems a little quick, that's why. But just look at the presence of Zlow. He seems to be quite consistently out spamming Luzon in this one. We've got Mantis dotted around here, coming through the channels from up here, through here. A lot of Mantis continuing to flow down this way, and of course that means Zlow looking set up pretty nicely in this other redundant starting location here. He's got his ACU chilling out. Well, going to throw down a land factory with it, but it's all looking relatively safe. We do have a band of Auroras coming in, but they're going to crash upon another torrent of Mantis heading in the opposite direction, so it's not looking like there's going to be anything in there that's going to threaten Zlow. Luzon, comparatively, has virtually no presence up here at all, with the exception of the ACU. There's Mantis crawling all over the place, which means these fringe mexes are unlikely to be secured anytime soon. More Mantis coming down now from Zlow. Luzon throwing down a PD in the center and then deciding to cancel that. Maybe he's going to pick somewhere else to do it. There is one down here, but of course, as soon as Zlow has a read on that, which he has, he can skirt way up here above it. Ideally, if you're going to get PD down, you want to get it in these choke points up here. The problem with that is that Zlow controls the choke points more or less. He's being incredibly aggressive. He's literally just got rally points set up in Luzon's territory from his factories, I believe. But look at these little pockets of Mantis sitting by the mexes. Luzon has got some tidying up to do on his side of things. And Zlow now out-ecoing him as well. 41 to 33. Do have a bomber inbound now from Luzon. Let's take a look at air presence. Well, LuXy seems to have concentrated on the air game a little bit more than his opponent. So 13 inties
Commander under attack
in play now there for Luzon, compared to 4 there from Zlow. So there is an advantage to be had in the air game. And we're just about to see T2 air again. So there we go from Luzon, wanting to go down that same route as he went in the first game. Worked so well for him with those early gunships. So getting the early T2 factory just under 10 minutes. And he's already got pretty much more or less air control on the field. Only problem is there's a lot of tidying up to do, and it's going to take him a while to do it with gunships. So many different sectors of the map that he now needs to get under control. And are we going to see T2 land anytime soon from Zlow? Well, nothing in the main base so far. Doesn't mean it's not one of these down here on the way. Well, no T2 tech as yet for Zlow at all that I can discern. So we don't have any bangers to worry about for Luzon. So gunships could be a welcome addition on this one. But if he's going to make the best use of them, needs to get some decent coverage from his air units. Sky Slam is now being produced, so Zlo, having recognized the danger, switches to a slightly more heavy anti-air build. But this would really concern me if I was losing now. Yes, I know I've got a tech advantage, but all the tech in the world isn't going to do you any favors when you're facing overwhelming numbers pouring into your main base. Two mexes on the western edge of the map go down there for LuXy, who's now sitting at 29 to 31. Actually, not too bad, considering the amount of pressure he's been under. He has no mexes at all in this quadrant. Beg your pardon, he's got one very heavily damaged mex over there, and of course as soon as I say it, down it goes thanks to that reducer. And he's only got one operational one up here where his ACU is, and then two fringe ones next to it, compared to Zlo that has control of his entire portion of the map. So LuXy ecoing in his base, or must be ecoing relatively well. Just goes to show you map control isn't everything, and now Zlo, with a huge force of T1 units, cornered by a handful of T2 gunships, which are slowly picking off Mantis and Medusa's as they begin to fall back towards the base. However, there are some Sky Slammers inbound. Still, nothing LuXy can't deal with, because they decide to just go straight after him. T1 anti-air doesn't generally fare too well against T2, but in come some interceptors that Zlo has spent some time amassing. First pass takes out a few of LuXy's. LuXy's been busy working on a mass of T1 bombers, gets a pass away and picks off a nice chunk of that T1 ground. Question is, has he been too light on interceptor production? Only one of the T2 gunships remains over here. 10 kills on that bad boy, and now he's being circled by a handful of inties there from Zlo. And in the center, things not going too well for LuXy either in terms of the air battle. A few Sky Slammers on the ground as well, adding a little extra pressure to those T1 air units of LuXy's. And this is critical, because LuXy's entire gamble has been based on getting air control, and now he doesn't seem to have it. However, Zlo doesn't want to rest on his laurels, certainly doesn't want to bunch up his troops and leave them stationary for the T1 bombers to get easy kills. That's what he's done. So what was a very nasty mass of troops there, now something much more palatable for LuXy. But very nice response from Zlo on the air production. LuXy trying to counter with swift wind production. Trouble is, just getting the one out won't do it. He needs to get 2 or 3. Then he'll be able to wrestle control of the skies back from Zlo, who is producing Sky Slammers in much larger numbers now. Still not seeing any tech on the field though for Zlo. Seeming comfortable sticking with a heavy volume T1 build at this point. Yeah, no upgrades on the way that I can see. Yeah, still very much sitting at T1 and comfortable. Well, he's doing well on map control, and he's denied LuXy the ability to get anything going in this portion of the map whatsoever. LuXy faring a little bit better up here, not surprisingly, because of the presence of his ACU. Now it's Slow's turn to annoy people with gunships. Jester picking off the odd unit there. A couple more stationary engineers waiting for it. In come the interceptors, though, to avenge their comrades. In fact, sorry, not interceptors, the swift winds. Thought that Jester went down pretty quickly. Slow looking for another encounter, trying to get in behind those swift winds. A struggle to catch it, though, but that's a lot of green inties on the field now. The straggling inties there from LuXy getting picked off. This next engagement is going to be crucial. LuXy, you get behind them, Slow drawing those swift winds across the Sky Slammers. If you can engage them over that, he's laughing surely. So many inties. A handful of swift winds can't seem to keep up, and now these swift winds are getting torn apart by the sheer volume of T1 anti-air that's coming into the region. Those Sky Slammers building a number, and of course don't forget the Sky Slammers can toggle. They have ground attack capabilities as well, so that's not all redundant once the planes get shot down. Slow can still affect damage on LuXy's ground forces, but whether or not they'll be able to remains to be seen. Certainly Slow pulling away, though, by 10 mass now, 43 to 33 in this one. Reclaim figures, well, not too bad. There's about 1,000 mass differential between the two in favor of Slow. So Slow definitely out-ecoing LuXy in this one. But really, the way things are going, it's definitely not looking good for LuXy. And as soon as this area is breached, I'll go so far as to say it's all over. LuXy reluctant to push with his ACU, hasn't got anything to assist with it. Doesn't want to find himself facing a sudden mass of jesters. Of course, that is a possibility at any point now that the Air Force of Slow is killing everything that's coming off the conveyor belt from that air factory there. Build capacity starting to produce some more static T1 anti-air, but it's taking time. As Aurora's trade blows with Mantis and Medusa. Raptors are hastily being thrown together there from LuXy. But huge quantities of build capacity getting brutalized by the Medusas being brought in, and just when it looks like they might be able to get one of the units of T1 PD in place, they switch and go after the structures themselves. And in fact, in terms of switching, it looks like the focus has very much been transferred to the northern base here. LuXy now facing waves of Mantis heading his way. One unit of static defense in place up here. I'm wondering what the extra wall sections do to help. I'm wondering if they really make a difference. Interesting to test that, but Slow now firmly in control of this one. 63 to 42 in terms of mass. Map control dwindling now for LuXy. Slow in possession of this third group of core mexes down here, this third group of core mass. Might lose one or two of them though, thanks to these Auroras, these two Auroras that have broken through. But LuXy now under Corsair attack, and it is heavy attack. And with nothing to defend against, down into the yellow. I think this signifies the end of LuXy's campaign and his exit from the tournament. It was only going to be a matter of time before he faced some overwhelming odds in the air after losing control of the skies. The GG goes out as he goes deep into the red, and his armor is breached, and Slow bags the final kill and progresses to the semi-finals. Well, very well done indeed, and LuXy, ever the gent, saying good luck for the future rounds to his opponent. Always nice to see. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. There's always more to come from me in the future, and maybe sooner than you think, so stay tuned. This is Guile, signing out.